sometimes it may be in question, at least with Kawhi. Like, do you really love the game? Do you really enjoy what you do? Do you really want to be out there performing? Because when these guys are together on the court, they're a top 5 duo. But until you show me something, you're just outside. So what's happening, YouTube? Welcome to ITSJONJONTV. And on this episode, I have my tier list of the top 10 NBA duos of the 2023-24 season. So I know this is way too early. Some of the guys that I have on this list, they may not even play much next year. I know I got some on suspension, some with a bad history of injuries. So let's just go ahead and highlight who we got down here. So at the bottom, I got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, Damian Lillard and Giannis. For those of y'all don't know, Damian Lillard, he was traded from the Portland Trail Blazers to the Milwaukee Bucks. So of course that kind of makes Milwaukee, in my opinion, the favorites to come out of the East. Of course, as of today, October 1st, just had another big trade that just happened. I may do a video on that. If I do, I'll feature it at the top left right here, or top right. But anyway, so on to who else I got on my list. I got Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. I got De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. Those two are very underrated as a duo. I got Embid and Harden, Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant. So, of course, as I mentioned in my intro, Ja Morant is going to be out 25 games to start off the year. So, it's going to be kind of interesting to see if they fit on my top 10 list or not. And, of course, we got here the reigning champions, Jokic and Murray. We got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Those two, really both of them, they have a real bad history of being injured. So, it's going to be interesting to see how much they play next season. Going forward, we got Anthony Davis and LeBron James. We got Luka and Kyrie. We got Steph and CP3. And I know what y'all saying. I'm gonna address that whenever I make the list, but that's my duo for the Golden State Warriors. Then we got Zion and BI. So not wasting no time, man. Let's just go ahead and get right into who I have as my number 10 duo in the NBA. So starting off, I'm gonna put Embiid and Harden at number 10. So the reason why I got him at number 10, of course, Embiid, he's coming off a MVP season. Of course, I got my opinions on if he's MVP or not, but he was voted. So reigning MVP, James Harden, he's a former MVP himself. He's returning back to Philly unless some crazy trade happens. And the reason why I got him number 10 is because it's not really determined yet on if James Harden will be returning back to the 76ers. And also with Embiid, he has a bad stigma about him with not being able to get out the second round. He hasn't had one Eastern Conference Finals appearance yet. He had a lot of top seeds in the East, at least top 2 seeds. So he cannot deliver whenever it matters. So that's why I kind of have those two ranked where they are. James Harden, he does have, a good playoff history. He's been to finals before. Of course, it was with OKC, but, he's been to a Western Conference Finals before where he was only one game away from making it to the NBA Finals. So those two is so much uncertainty there that I can't really put them higher than, where I have them. Whenever those two are both healthy and they're playing well together, I personally think that they're a top 6 duo in the league. I probably put them at number 6, but with so much uncertainty, this is where I gotta have them. So number 10, Embiid and Harden on my list. Okay. So going on next, this one's gonna shock a lot of people, but I got Zion and Brandon Ingram at number 9. So with Brandon Ingram, he's pretty consistent. He has some injury trouble throughout his career. So, at least with BI, you could expect maybe 60 games at least. If he's really, really feeling it, 70 games. But Zion is the X factor here because if Zion is healthy, this is another duo that I think could be in the top 5. And you seen it last year with the Pelicans. Zion, whenever he was playing, they were the number 1 seed in the West. As soon as he got hurt, there they go. So, Zion, his 2023-24 season, if he plays, the Pelicans is going to be a top 4 seed in the West. And this duo is going to be a top 5 duo in the league. But if he's hurt, this is not really even a duo. If Zion plays, they're a number 1 seed. If Zion doesn't play, the Pelicans is the playing team. To say the least, they're a playing squad. So that's who I got at number 9. It's just all dependent on Zion, and just based off of potential of Zion playing, that's what have them in my top 10. So that's my number 9 duo between Zion and BI, who I got at number 8. Fox and Sabonis. Fox and Sabonis, man, they played great together. They had a very successful year. I believe they were the number 4 seed in the West, if my memory serves me well. So I don't really think they're going to repeat and replicate that. Of course, with Mike Brown, man, he's a fantastic coach. De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, they were both all-stars last year. So it's great to see those two continue to play together, feed off each other. Didn't really watch that many Kings games last year, but I know both of these guys potential, and they're probably going to hover around 8, 9, or 10 depending on how the season goes, but they are a top 10 duo in the NBA in my opinion. So that's my number 8 squad. I'm not going to really go too much more into this. That's who I have. As far as number 7 goes, I got Kyrie and Luka. So, of course, with this duo, you got 2 of the most talented, offensively gifted players in the NBA. You got Kyrie's an all-time great, probably one of the greatest handles of all time, one of the greatest finishers around the hoop of all time, and you got Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic, he's a 38-8 guy. He's always within the running and being a first-team All-NBA player. Of course, with the Mavericks, they didn't have much success last year, but I think this year may be a little bit different. So we'll see. They had, some key pieces that got added. Kyrie, he's comfortable in Dallas. Luka, they want to make it work. So we're going to see how they play as a duo. But, with both of those guys being as gifted as they are, even though they're both defensive liabilities, you can't, just with their offensive talent alone, I got to put them, kind of to the middle tier of my top 10 duos, just off the strength of their offensive skills. So that's number 7 on my list. Who else I got? Steph and CP3. So I know some of y'all wondering, why don't I have Steph and Clay? Personally, in my opinion, I think the addition of Chris Paul, I think is going to benefit Steph Curry more than you guys know. Because I did a video, which I will feature at the top right. I did a video, and I gave my 2 cents on the Magic Johnson and Steph Curry debate, as in who is the greatest point guard of all time. And with Steph Curry, I talked about in a little segment on how Steph Curry is not great on the ball, but he is by far one of the greatest to ever play off the ball. Steph Curry, he is dangerous whenever he's running off of screens, whenever someone else is facilitating the offense, like a Draymond Green or Iguodala, even Jordan Poole. If somebody takes the ball out of his hands, and it makes Steph Curry more dangerous, because now instead of focusing on the ball, you're focusing on where in the heck is Curry. Because he's running off of screens. He probably runs the furthest distance out of any NBA player that plays. If you was to track his steps and how much he moves around the court, he moves nonstop. And whenever Steph Curry is just moving and tiring off the defense, running around screens. It makes them that more dangerous. So with the addition of Chris Paul is probably the best guy really in the NBA with the ball in his hands. If you want the ball in anybody's hands, you want it in CP3's hands. He's an all-time great assist passer, amongst the leaders in history. He's a heck of a facilitator, which also opens up opportunities for others like Klay Thompson, like Draymond, like Looney, like Kuminga, so those guys is going to benefit with Chris Paul having a rock in his hands, because Chris Paul historically makes teams better. So Steph Curry, be prepared for Steph Curry having probably the most efficient season he has ever had with Chris Paul at point guard. And Golden State, that does put them, in my opinion, back as a top 4 seed in the West. So that's why this duo is just right outside my top 5, because it's yet to be determined if Chris Paul will be able to stay healthy. But I know with Steph Curry, he's going to benefit really greatly from Chris Paul, and I think even Klay will have a good year also. So that's my number 6 duo with Steph Curry and CP3. Number 5, I got LBJ and Anthony Davis. So, of course, just like most people on the list, Anthony Davis haven't really historically been healthy. I think this year will be different. They had a deep playoff run, but Anthony Davis, he kind of shown glimpses that he is still, when he wants to be, a top 5 NBA player. He's a top 5 NBA player when he wants to be. He just have to be consistent. With LeBron James, I mean, what more can we say about this guy? He's going into year 21, all right? 21, and this guy on my list is still in the top 5 duos just because he is a part of the duo. Last season, this guy took over in the playoffs, even though it didn't really lead to much wins. Well, it didn't lead to any wins in the Western Conference Finals, but he drugged those guys to the Western Conference Finals, with Anthony Davis kind of having roller coaster performances. So these guys, I think they're going to be a top 5 duo in the NBA. I think the Lakers as a whole is going to be a top 3 seed in the West because they made a lot of great additions. I like the Christian Wood signing. I like Jackson Hayes signing. They re-signed Austin Reeves. So they got a lot of depth. Rui Hachimura, he's coming back. So I like the additions that they made. It's going to be interesting to see. I think the Lakers by far, other than with the recent trade of Milwaukee and Boston, but I think the Lakers had the best offseason, in my opinion. So, it's going to be great to see Anthony Davis and LBJ, kind of feed off of the supporting cast that they have, because they actually have defense and they have shooting now. So it just all depends on Anthony Davis. As long as he's able to stay healthy, as long as he performs consistently throughout the year, not asking for a lot, just do 22-10. 22-10, the Lakers going to be a top 3 seed, and nobody want to see LeBron in the playoffs. Simply put. So that's my number 5 duo in the NBA. As far as number 4 goes, so Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, I'm actually going to do a video on a trade that just took place today on October 1st. But if you guys don't know, Jrue Holiday, he is now a Boston Celtic. So with the Celtics, they got Porzingis. You got Brown and Tatum. You lost Marcus Smart, but man, what a way to replace Marcus Smart with signing Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday, man, he is one of the greatest perimeter defenders to ever play, in my opinion, along with Marcus Smart, who was former Defensive Player of the Year. But Jrue Holiday, he gives you leadership. He's one of the smartest defensive players to ever play. And with Jrue Holiday being on the court, it frees up Jaylen Brown to where he doesn't have to guard the best player on the other team. Because If they didn't sign Jrue Holiday, guess who that assignment was going to? Hey, Jaylen Brown, go get him. Because they don't have Marcus Smart there no more. But, Jaylen Brown, it kind of frees him up to be save his energy for offense. Of course, with Jason Tatum, we all know what he's capable of. 30-point score per game. A first-team All-NBA performer. So with these two being a duo, by far one of the most gifted duos offensively in the league. And I'll put them head to head. The only one I'll kind of give a nod to is Luka and Kyrie. But other than that, these guys, they both could put the rock in the hoop. So that's my number 4 duo. It's very exciting to see because it's going to be Boston and Milwaukee next year. They're going to be fighting to go to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. So this trade today, man, it definitely it puts more pressure on Milwaukee for sure, man. So that is my number 4 team. As far as number 3 goes, Durant and Booker. So of course with Phoenix, man, they have way more than just these two. They also got Bradley Beal. So I mean, that's a lot of offense in Phoenix right now. You got KD, one of the greatest scorers in history. You got D-Book. This guy just put up 70 a couple seasons ago in a game. You got Bradley Beal. So these guys, man, they're going to have a lot of offense. I probably should have did trios. I don't know. Hey, if this video gets to 100 likes, I'm going to do a video on the greatest trios. It'll probably be a top 5 trio list. But if you want to see that, drop a like. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that video. But as far as the duos go, I can't quite give them the upper edge over Lillard, Giannis, Murray, Jokic, Kyrie, PG-13. Like I can't really give these guys. Well, I could probably give them the edge over Kyrie and PG-13, but I can't give these guys the edge as the greatest because they failed to make it past the Nuggets last year. They don't really have that defender there to take the pressure off of KD. Which KD, his strength is offense. It's not really defense. Offensively, these guys are super talented. D-Book is a fantastic player. He actually had a really good semifinals last year, I believe, in my opinion. He really kept Phoenix in a lot of games. And KD is KD. So don't really need to elaborate on this much more because my number 2 duo is Damian Lillard and Giannis. So a lot of people, including myself, we were under the assumption that Damian Lillard, he was going to get traded to Miami because that was his preferred destination. Crazy of me to think that the player had the rights, but he made it well known that, hey, I want to go to Miami. So, of course, with the media, they took that, they ran with it, put together all type of scenarios. With Miami, they cleared out a lot of space. They let go of some key guys. I think Strus was a big loss. Vincent, he was a big loss. So they were trying to make moves in order to be able to take in a guy like Dame Lillard. But whenever you let those guys go, what do you lose? You lose assets. And with Portland, they were looking for assets, in which they got plenty of now because Portland, they got Jrue Holiday in return. Who else they got? They got Ayton. They got a couple of key guys. They just moved Holiday today. I didn't really look into the trade yet to see what all Portland got for Jrue, but Portland, they're committed to a rebuild now. You got Scoot Henderson. You got Anthony Hardaway still. So you got depth. You got DeAndre Ayton. You got draft picks. You got a lot now. So the future is in Scoot Henderson's hands. Back to this duo. I'm getting a little bit off topic. So back to this duo with Damian Lillard. As far as players that complement each other, I think other than who I got as my number 1, these guys complement each other the most. And I think as far as a guard and a big playing together, I think this is probably the greatest duo to ever be assembled since Shaq and Kobe. Quite honestly. Because with a lot of duos on the list, I mean, you look at LeBron and AD, they're both bigs. Brown and Tatum, they're both bigs. KD is technically a big, but he's not a big. You know, like Zion, BI, you know, you got two forwards. You know, Bede, Harden, they play decent together. But as far as complementary players, I mean, think about these guys in the pick and roll. Impossible to guard. Because let's just say you play Giannis off the pick and roll. That frees up Dame Lillard. Dame Lillard could pull from 40. You don't play Giannis on the pick and roll. Guess what? That's a free dump and go. Damian Lillard, he is one of the best in the league whenever it comes to shovel passes. So he don't need much of a gap in order to get that ball to Giannis. So, man, these guys is going to be very difficult to guard whenever it comes to the pick and roll. Of course, you got Chris Middleton still. So you got Brook Lopez. I'm not looking forward to watching this next year. That's all I got to say. But with that being said, they're not number one. They're not number one because they're not the reigning champs. Jokic, Murray. In my opinion, Jokic is the best player in the NBA right now. And in my opinion, it's not even close. Jamal Murray, we seen what he is capable of. We seen him light the Lakers up. We seen what he did against Miami. I think he hits a different mode when he gets in the playoffs. But until somebody dethrones these guys, they're the best duo in the NBA. They lost some key parts, some key contributors from last season. They lost them, but personally, I think with Jokic, you know, as long as Jokic is Jokic, they're going to be in a contending spot. So I don't have them quite at number one. I think they're going to be more. And looking at this, I think Denver might be a 2 seed next year. I could see Phoenix probably being a top seed, Denver being a 2 seed, Lakers being a 3 seed, and then the Warriors as a 4 seed. But until somebody dethrones these guys, this is the best duo. And I hope and pray they stay healthy. But anyway, this is my list. Go ahead and take a look at it. Jokic, Murray 1, Giannis, Lillard 2, Booker, KD 3, Brown, Tatum 4, LeBron, AD 5, Curry, CP3 6, Luka, Kyrie 7, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis 8, Zion, BI 9, Embid, Harden 10. Now, I had 12 duos. As you see, I left 2 off the list. So with Ja and JJ, Ja, he's going to miss 25 games off rip. So, of course, we know for a fact he's not playing 25 games. So that automatically takes him out of consideration, in my opinion. Now, of course, whenever these two play, they are great. I don't really think they much. I wouldn't really say they complement each other, but, you know, with Jaren Jackson, he's one of the greatest defenders in the NBA. And Ja, he's Ja, you know, a super gifted player. And of course, with PG 13 and Kawhi, just with their history, man, just with their history of missing all the games that they miss, I can't say with confidence, which I know it may sound contradictory because I got Zion in my top 10, but if you pay attention to what's been going on, Zion has been putting in that work. All right. I have been seeing receipts of Zion working on his game, getting in better shape, getting stronger, you know, have a different mindset. He went on No Chill Gills, not No Chill Gills. He went on Gills Arena and had a conversation, you know, with the player. So he has a completely different mindset. So I trust that he is going to have a better performance than PG-13 and Kawhi if he stays healthy. But with those guys over the last 5 or so seasons, you know, they both shown that they're not to be depended on. And sometimes it may be in question, at least with Kawhi, like, do you really love the game? Do you really enjoy what you do? Do you really want to be out there performing? Because when these guys are together on the court, they're a top 5 duo. But until you show me something, you're just outside. So anyway, this has been my tier list of the top 10 duos of the 2023-24 season. If you want to see me do a video on the trios, go ahead. Let me know down below, man. Get this video to 100 likes, man. I'm going to drop that video, man. But anyway, I appreciate you watching. Love you. Peace.